Welcome back to Dynasty Dads, episode 70. Today we're talking about the Rookie RB class. We have 11 names here. I think these are the most important. As of late, Caden Knott has jumped up quite a bit just on mock draft database. He's jumped up 7 spots since I started to watch film. And I didn't watch any film on him. And now he's projected to go between Johnson and Singleton. I don't know why. But
We'll
if
see
he
in the
gets
draft.
drafted highly, yeah, like if he goes third, fourth round, okay, I should probably go watch some film on him. But if he falls to the sixth and seventh, like it doesn't matter. But
Nope.
first, let's get into some news here. Kirk Cousins to the Raiders. Kind of sounds like they want him to start for probably the whole season or part of the season, which I think is, it's very rare in this day and age, especially for the first overall pick to not start as soon as they're taken. But when you bring in someone like Kirk Cousins, those two guys are two peas in a pod. I think it would be smart for the Raiders to not start him right away because they're not going to be a good team to start with. So let him learn kind of the ins and outs of how to be a QB in this league. Watch Kirk for a while. Kirk's been in this league for a long time. Kirk can still play. I don't think he's anything like he was 4 or 5 years ago, but he's still someone that's been around. I think he's going to be a good mentor for Mendoza. If it comes out that he's going to, like, the plan is for him to start the whole season, how far does that push down Mendoza when you go into your drafts? Once we get done with the NFL draft, does it bump him down for you at all?
No, it wouldn't bum him out at all for me. I mean, if you're taking Mendoza where he should be going, which is the 102 in rookie drafts, because he's the only quarterback in this class that you can guarantee true playing time. For me, he's the 102. You take him there if he's a quarterback. If you already have 3 okay or decent quarterbacks or 2 really good ones, and you're like, there's no point in waiting to 102, and you want to go one of the stud receivers that goes to a decent spot, or you like Tate a lot, fine. But for me, I'm not bumping him down because of this news. I mean, if you truly had the 102 and didn't trade for it and truly got it, your team's not that good anyway. So all it does is maybe help your pick for the following year.
Yeah, that's
And now
fair.
you have a quarterback, so you don't have to use it technically next year on a quarterback.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. I like the move, so they aren't. It's going to be something to see in the draft what they do with their second and third round pick. Do they go offensive line? Because this is a deep class for guards. So I hope they take more offensive line help to build around Mendoza for the long term. They do have a good tackle. They just brought in a good center. That's a start. That's something that we wanted to see. So it's a start. But he doesn't move for me at all with this news. Even if Kirk comes in and starts the whole year, this is Dynasty. This isn't a redraft. Yes, you're not going to get any production out of him this year if that is the case. Most people are thinking he'll probably come in, after the first 6 games or maybe after the bye, whenever their bye week is, which I think is smart. You don't see it very often, but when a QB does get a chance to sit for a while and process the game a little bit more, go through more practices, go through game days, and just see how things work. So it's not so much weight in the very beginning. So
Yeah. No, I mean, what do you think? Cousins starts 4 games, 6 games? Because it's not all year. You can't do it. You can't do it to your fans. You can't do it to your fan base. I don't care if you're whatever it is, especially if you're 0-4. Like, what's the point? Bring him in. Let him suck more. Who cares?
yeah, that's fair. I'd probably say anywhere from 4 to 6 games. Like, how does the season start? Do they start off hot and they win, 2 or 3 games, and Kirk's doing well at that point? There's no point to bring in Mendoza. But if you start
What?
off,
Now's the time to bring him in. You got to start losing again. This is
uh,
this is not a 1-year rebuild. That's not what they're set up for. And you ask about the second round. I would love it if they went and got a guard or the best O lineman that fell to them to start the second round and the third round. or if they move around, manipulate, get some extra picks, etc., to get some O linemen because we saw it last year with Geno how bad that was. I believe, and we've discussed this offline, franchises are dumber than we think they are. And
Yeah,
I
they
think they're
are.
going to take a receiver, and I think they're probably going to take Surratt
Boston.
because he played with
Yeah.
him, which might be a little early for him. But in other words, I feel they're going to take a receiver to pair with him and not get the O line right away. Where I think truly it might be better if they got a left guard and then the whole left side of the offensive line looks like it could be solid, and the right side you work on later in the draft, as in some free agent, someone gets cut, or for next year. Like it's going to be rough anyway, but I would try and protect him before I try and get receivers.
And now the other pieces of this offense, you got Bowers and Genty. Does this Kirk Cousins news give you a little bit more hope that they'll be more consistent at the start of the year? They'll have a veteran to handle the offense, and it won't have the growing pains of having, a first year player at QB.
Genty, not really. Genty stays where he is. It doesn't give me any more excitement because the O line's still bad. Like if they get a receiver, that doesn't help them. If they do get some more O line, a little more excited. I will say Bowers gets me. I'm excited because Kurt played with Pitts and made Pitts look better at the end of the year, right? Let's be honest, Bowers is better than Pitts. So if
What?
he can do it, yeah, exactly. If he could do it with Pitts, Drake London was down, so the teams aren't too much different. The O line is system, Kubiak, etc. I get a little more excited about Bowers, but Genty kind of stays the same.
Okay. How about you take this next bit of news?
Right, Rasheed Rice cleared and will not be suspended. Um, what does that mean to me? It means his value in Dynasty just shot up. If you have him, it's probably the time to sell because you can get the world. We were just talking offline. Gus Miles, I'll give you a shout out here, talking about the idea that in redraft next year, people are talking of Rice going ahead of Justin Jefferson
Can't do it.
because of this news. Redraft, maybe, just because is Kyler that much better? Is he good? Is he going to get JJ the ball? I think so. I think the system, Ken O'Connell will make it work. I think JJ's a better receiver. I mean, part of it is we don't know if Mahomes starts week one. So what if it's, you know, Rice Fields combo to start for the first 4 weeks? Is that exciting? To me, it's not. Um, but it's exciting for him this year in Dynasty. That's a no way. I'm still scared. So if I have him, I'm trying to trade him for high pieces because I think his value just shot back up.
That's fair. I do agree that he just got a pretty big bump in value for Dynasty and for redraft because you won't have any sort of suspension or going to jail. Um, you know, part of the equation, at least for this year. But at any moment, something could drop, and he could be right back in the same spot. But at which he has pretty much done his whole career so far, all the way from college all the way to the NFL. He's had some problems, and that's just a very volatile asset to try and keep and use and count on. If you could flip him for, a 27 first and I don't know, pick a pick a wide receiver 2 or 3 in Dynasty, would you do that?
If I could get a 27 first and Waddle, would I do it?
That's a good
Yes.
one.
Yeah, I would. And the reason part of it for me is you just got bailed out of him doing something else dumb just now. What if in December of this year he does something else dumb? Because we've seen it a lot. Guys usually don't just do one dumb thing.
How do the Chiefs not have it like, hey, look, we are going to get you a caretaker slash babysitter. Like they're going to go with you everywhere you go. They're going to stay at your house. If you leave your house, they're going to go with you. Like, how does someone that is that high profile that you have this much invested in that, also, I think he's going to his 4th year. So this is going to be the last, like he's in a contract year, if I'm not wrong. Um, but are you going to want to extend that person? And if you are, how much do you want to give them? you know. And if that's the case where you do extend him, he's probably going to get a lot of money. And how do you not put someone with him? you know, I mean, it sounds wrong and messed up, but like that's that's kind of what I think you have to do just to keep him out of trouble.
Well,
But
pay a guy 120K just to be his bodyguard, 10K a month. You're a rich franchise. He's a face of the franchise that doesn't look good. If you keep him healthy, he's the best receiver you got for Mahomes, right?
yep, yep.
It's not rocket science. It just makes sense. That $120,000 player or bodyguard or whatever that just keeps him out of trouble is not part of the cap, so it doesn't matter. You know, I'm trying to look at Dad's 31 startup now because that just happened. We
But yeah, he
discussed it a
probably
couple
went.
weeks ago, and try
He
and
probably
see
went
where he
super
went and
late.
kind of where he would go now, and then kind of deals. Let's see.
I'll look at Dad's 32 just because you're not in it.
Yeah,
I,
and I just
I,
left that league. Yeah,
yeah, you left a team. Unbelievable. No, I'm just kidding.
left no team. Believable. In 31, he still went fairly early. He went at the 502.
Wow.
Right around him this is before Brees was staying, but Brees saw Harold Fanning, Trevion Henderson, Bucky Irving, Rasheed Rice, Tucker Kraft, Jordan Love. And so the question is for you, and this is kind of where I'm at. Does he now jump? Is he in the Drake London area now? Or would you not put him there?
No. Like
Then
third, fourth round is probably
so
the
London to
maybe
me was like
back
the
of the
bottom of a
fourth.
tier. That's why I brought it up. Is he before T Mac and Chris Olave?
I would rather have both those players.
Okay, so you would keep dropping him. So would you put him, man, what about like George Pickens, Nico Collins, Garrett Wilson before
I
there?
would rather have George Pickens, Nico Collins, and who was a third?
Garrett Wilson.
That's probably right where he should be.
Okay,
To me.
I would have him probably closer. I guess I'm higher than you. I would have him closer to between Drake and T Mac.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
so Drake went at the 303, T Mac went at the 306, Olave went at the 307. So
Yeah. In
how many
Dad's
receivers?
32, he went at the 6'6", right between Saquon and Kyler Murray as far as wide receivers. He went between Brian Thomas Jr. and Burden.
Gotcha. But yeah, so I would probably have him around receiver 9 area, 9, 10. That's what it would be in here. You would have him at like 12. So, but no, I mean, it's good to discuss. I think his value goes up, but if I have him, I'm springboarding that into a trade. And yeah, if he's in that level, wide receiver 10, you should be able to get a 27 first and a decent wide receiver, which actually Jalen Waddle isn't a bad offer. Would you be interested, excited if you got 27 first and Luther Burden? I think a lot of people would be down for that. I don't know if the Luther Burden first would get you Rice. What about T. Higgins? T. Higgins in a first.
Yes.
You rather the T. Higgins in first?
Yeah.
Yeah, me too. I got to keep going. AJ Brown. Just doing a few more.
Is he a Patriot?
He's either Eagles or Patriots.
If he's a Patriot, then probably Eagle. With the age, probably not.
Okay. Because after that, there's a big drop in the draft we did, literally a full round before another receiver went. Like a full round and a half. The next receiver was Waddle, Devontae Smith, and Terry McLaurin. And I think Waddle, I would do Devontae Smith, maybe.
If AJ Brown is traded, then yeah.
Well, that one, his value jumped.
Part of why I want the two pieces is because that 27 first is probably going to be a very good player next year, unless it's like the 112, 111. It's still going to be a good player, but it's not going to be one of the top end guys.
Well, if you're making that deal, you're going up to get a piece that you think is better than you have, and to make your wide receiver 2, 3 into a stud again, right? And plan for this year. So let's assume that picks the 108, 109 next year. That's what I would immediately assume.
Yeah. Well, I'm talking about trying to trade away Rice. I would prefer the two pieces in most trades, most of those wide receivers and the first. And part of it is because due to the volatility of Rice, if something else happens and he's gone, well, now I've got two pieces. Both of them are better than a player that's not playing, you know?
Well, that's why I would suggest getting off of him right now. Use that springboard, use the info, and see what you can get. So
All right. How about we talk some backs?
let's do it, bud.
All right. Since you love Jeremiah Love so much, how about you go first?
All right. I mean, I'll start, and I don't even want to say too much just so we can move on quickly. He's the one-on-one. It's easy. To me, I have him above Achan. I have him above Genty. He is my running back 3 right now. That's even with the idea he's going to the Titans. Um, I get even more excited and tickled if he goes to Washington. If he goes to the Giants, for him, I think it's fine. I think it's dumb for the Giants, but I think for him, it would be fine. Um, there's too many positives to really bring up. I don't even think we really need to discuss it because of everyone else is. But my biggest thing with him, he's 6 foot 212, ran his speed score was 117.33. He does very well at the backfield, catches all the balls, has electric plays all the time, can take it to the house at any point, is special. The question is how special. Um, I have him, like I said, at running back 3 behind Bijan and Gibbs. Could he jump one of those guys next year? My answer is yes. Which one? Who knows? But could he?
Oof,
The answer is yes.
that's a
Um,
tall. That's a tall order.
oh, but I mean, is it really? Like, what if one of them gets hurt, one or two? I mean, we're already seeing the Detroit O line taking some hits, right? They keep losing players. Decker's not coming back. You know, what happens is Sewell misses half the season with a hamstring injury or something. What happens then? And then the O line's a lot worse. And so for Gibbs and the whole offense, they implode, right? There's a lot of what ifs could happen. But right now, he's my running back 3. I think out the backfield is where we're going to see some of the not just explosive plays, but also the fantasy value is going to be ridiculous. And the idea to me that he goes to Dayball and gets to use that system that he's done before with Tracy and Scadaboo some, and now has Cam Ward, another option to dump off to. It gets me excited. There's no real other way to say it.
Yeah, you hit on pretty much everything. There wasn't a lot of cons that I saw when I was watching, but there were a few, and this is cherry picking. This is cherry picking. Everything was from the shotgun or pistol. There was no, under center, but that's just something that they have to work out in camp. It's not going to be a big issue. It's not. It's not going to affect them. It's just something to look. Okay, has he not played in this style before?
I would argue that's a positive. As in,
Fair enough.
you such a better runner with you running forward to get the ball, you know, instead of having to go sideways right away. That's why NFL
Yeah,
teams do so much under center.
yeah, and um, I don't think he had the best vision in his backfield. I think Price had better vision than Love. He doesn't set up blocks as well as Price did. I think Price has very, very good vision and he can set up blocks better than him. Like I said, this is cherry picking. He's gonna be great. And then when he did have to, stop and make a cut, or he was in traffic, it really took away from a lot of his momentum for someone that is perceived to be this athletic. Yes, he's got good bursts, he's fast, but the ability to keep your momentum is something that is very important for backs. Yes, he is great at it, but I don't think it's quite on par with like his top end speed or his overall perceived athletic profile. But that's just cherry picking. I mean, it's very hard for the first guy to bring him down. He can make you miss in a phone booth. He can get up to speed very quickly. One thing I look at Vax, he's got great contact balance. Like he can take a hit and still stay on his feet. I mean, everyone knows about the pass catching ability. And he's not afraid of contact. No, he's not the biggest back, 220 plus, but he's still 212. And I think that it's funny that you talked about Gibbs so much because that is the comp that most people give him is that he's Gibbs. And you can see it. He's a great athlete. He's great in the passing game. Don't have to talk too much more about him.
Yeah, for sure.
I'll go in on price, and I'll also kind of give my rankings of these guys. Obviously, Love is one, and I'm gonna go with consistency here. I think Price is the RB2 in this class. Yes, the huge knock on him is there's not a lot of passing game work, but my hill that I'll probably die on until he proves me otherwise is he had Jeremiah Love in his backfield, who is the best pass catcher in college. You can talk about Claiborne. I mean, not really Claiborne. He dropped a lot of passes, but just a weapon in the pass game. You have someone like Jeremiah Love in the backfield. Why would you not just throw it to him as much as possible? So yes, he didn't have a lot of work in the passing game. Some of the pros for him, he's got this upper body juke that he does. I think is interesting. It's like a shimmy, and it's all of his upper body. I don't think you see his lower half move a whole lot. He runs for good power for his size. He's only 5'11", 203. He gets up to speed quickly. He's not blazing fast like Love, but he's got good enough speed to work in the NFL. I think he has great contact balance. I already talked about it, but I think he has better vision than Love. And this man finds the end zone a lot. For someone that shared a backfield with the top back in this class, he found the end zone quite often. Some of the cons that I had for him, besides the pass catching work, the agility isn't really there when he's like in a crowd. He's not as shifty as Love when he gets in those tight areas. His feet are kind of heavy the way he runs. Like he's not very light on his feet. His only moves that he has are cuts and power. That's his whole ball game. Is either he's going to try to run through you, or just try to cut around you. You didn't see a whole lot of jukes or spins. And then also one of the cons is the same as Love, is everything was in shotgun and in pistol.
Yeah. I'll jump in about Jadarian Price. Quickly, I'm just going to give the quick numbers that I like writing down to look at, which everyone can add, but Price, 5'11", 203. His speed score was 99.89. For me, I'm hoping a guy gets over 100. So is it almost there? Yes, but 100 isn't a do or die, but he's not there. Let me say his NFL prospect on NFL.com, whether you like that or not, is a 6.38, which just means he's a pretty good prospect that could be a starter. The other score they have there, the next gen score, is a 75, which means he's fine, like nothing special. Love was a 96, so that shows the difference. Um, Going into a couple other metrics, some people love this yards per reception. He had 15 receptions, so that number is so skewed on like two long
Yes,
ones,
it
so it
is.
doesn't matter. But it was 10.8, which is good. You suppose you want to be over like 8, 7.5 or 8 is a number that a lot of the best backs in the NFL have had coming out of college. But on 15 receptions in 3 years, I'm not gonna really do that. Uh, the best thing I saw, his vision was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Watching him on film, the games I watched, he reminded me, he waited, got to watch blocks develop, and then chose the right hole very nicely, smooth at that, which is a huge trait, especially in the NFL. And depending where you go, if it's a bad O line, it might hurt him. It's not going to be good. I mean, I'm not comparing him to Le'Veon Bell, but the idea that Le'Veon Bell waited on Pittsburgh and then when he went to the Jets, the O line killed him, kind of, reminds me of that. Of the vision was beautiful to watch. Just seeing him set up blocks and waiting for a play to develop when he could. Part of that was the O line was good, right? Notre Dame had a very good O line and was able to develop blocks instead of one or two guys scraping in and making tackles in the backfield. Um, the pass volume, pass rate, and pass blocking was horrid. Just not good. Um, it scares me. Is he only a first and second down guy? He's only 203 pounds. Yet again, this running back class, everyone's talking about weak. I like some of what I saw, but I wouldn't necessarily say it was super special, right? To me, this is the first guy of the next three total, so four of them total in this realm. Jadarian Price to me is really all about where he goes and where he gets drafted. And if he goes to Seattle at 64, boom, I'm in. The real question to you is if he goes to Seattle at 64, does he jump up to the 107 in rookie drafts, or does he, let's say, fall behind Concepcion and Boston and a couple of those other receivers in his late first? Where would you have?
I think the 107 to 110 is probably the right range. Like, do you prefer the back? I mean, everyone needs backs in Dynasty, so he's probably going to get pushed up. Currently, so the order that we are going in is what they're projected to go on mock draft database. So Price is projected to go second at pick 48. So it's been kind of like in the middle of that 32 and 64 slot. Because I'm sure he gets taken at the 64 in these mocks and sometimes at the 32. So it kind of puts in the middle. So he's going to be either a back end of the first or late second pick, somewhere in between there. And if that's the range where he goes, then he should be somewhere in the first, that mid to late, or mid not being six, but like that 7 to 10 range, I think is where he will end up going.
Gotcha. Okay. Because it's very curious. Everyone's been shitting on the class. But I mean, all of a sudden, a running back in a viable range might jump receivers that go in the first round. And so, even though we don't like the running back class, that just shows need at running back, right?
And that's pretty much always been a trap. It's
Well,
pretty much always been a
we keep
trap.
seeing him traps. One of the guys I loved a few years ago, and I'll admit to it, is Damian Pierce. Loved him, and rookie year did great. Next year, I'm drafting him. Not early, but I'm drafting him in a lot of rookie drafts, and he went to shit. So it's kind of, could that happen again with some of these guys? But
Someone from this tier will be someone that you can use for fantasy. I just don't know for how long and how well. So
well, with the running back class last year, with being so good and deep, that helps a little bit. But you're 100% right. We're trying to fill in for CMC's class and classes after, Saquon class, all these other classes where we're losing old guys that are beat up and showing their age. So we're striving for running backs. I think that's why we saw in the startups the running backs are just going earlier, because after the first 5-6 rounds, you're like, all this shit is ugly, you know?
yeah, and kind of with the rest of these backs, they're more of what type of role do you need filled? Do you need a power back? Do you need a pass catcher? Do you need someone that's going to be a first and second down guy? So I don't think there's anyone left that's like really complete. Maybe there's one more that I've got as my RB3 that I would put very close to Price. Um, but for the rest of these guys, it's going to be what role do you need filled, and they're probably not going to have any sort of bell cow role. So how about you take the next guy that's on the list?
Well, since I'm down in SEC country, you know, other than you being in, I guess, big 12 country. So I'll take the next guy, which is Mike Washington, is supposed to be third on the list. Liked him, but let me start 6'1", 223, speed score of 126.88. Yes, that is
God damn.
ridiculous. For 223 pounds to be as fast as he was is just off the charts crazy. Um, and you see it on the film. But to the NFL prospect, 6.24, so not too far behind Jadarian Price, 70 on that next gen stat. So a little bit below Price, but not too much based on what he's produced and his athleticism. And he's supposed to be the third back. I think a lot of analysts I'm hearing are bumping him down. The more I watched, the more I actually liked. You could see the speed on film. The O line and the quarterback play was horrid. like just so bad. And trying to be in the SEC and playing that poorly with QB and O line, that where I said Price a lot of times had time to develop, the times Mike Washington had time to develop were, a third the amount of Price. Just the idea that guys were jumping his ankles, making tackles all the time. You saw it on film was crazy. Um, One thing that I saw that was quite interesting is in the SEC, he made a lot of safeties take poor angles, which is not something you see a lot. And that was surprising, especially them playing against Arkansas, And that was, I think it's a little bit of his setup, a little bit of poor angles, but the SEC safeties usually make better plays and better angles, right? So I saw that multiple times. So that was a little bit, I think they might have gotten surprised by his speed that he got on him quickly and they took a slightly poor angle. But I liked it a lot more than I think others did, partly because just watching so many of the plays be -1 or 0 yards because the O line is getting pushed back or dominated, made it easy for me to almost write off some of those plays because there's nowhere you can go. It reminds me a little bit, and I'm not comparing him to him. I'm just saying what we saw a little bit with Saquon, where he got punched in the mouth this year, where the O-line wasn't able to make as many holes as they did last year. And Saquon was kind of getting beat up. The offensive line was getting pushed back. I saw some of that with Mike Washington in Arkansas. Not the same player. Don't say that. But the way the O-line got pushed back.
Saquon Barkley is
Yeah,
Mike
there you go. Yeah, put it
Washington.
up
Got
there.
it.
I hope Miles posts it. Please do. But no, the idea that the O-line for Philly that got pushed around a little bit this year is what I saw with Arkansas a lot in the SEC. So it makes it tough to review. One of the other stats is he had 6.67 yards per reception, which is is below the threshold of actually making it out. Like I said, I'm going to give him a pass because the O-line and the quarterback play was horrible. Like you can't. It's so hard watching some of the plays try and develop even in a pass route because he's more just an outlet that he'd get a catch and run out of bounds at 5-6 yards, get tackled right there, other than being a vital weapon in the passing game.
Yeah, a lot of those safeties were also maybe trying to make a business decision, not to get run the fuck over. Because to me,
That's
when I
fair.
watched him, he would bully the shit out of some DBs, corners, safeties. He will bully the fuck out of you. The one of the problems I had is when he was between the tackles, I didn't see that consistent power. I didn't see him really, do much damage once he was being touched by linebackers and linemen. And that's kind of shocking for someone that's his size and someone that we consider to be a size speed freak. I mean, that's one of the pros. He's a size speed freak. He's got elite speed. You give him one lane and he's fucking gone. He's got pretty good hands for someone his size. And his build, you kind of think of a bigger back that's just a power guy that isn't gonna be great in the passing game. I thought he did pretty well. He was good on swings, flats, wheel routes, all like um, common routes for a back. He's a powerful runner. If someone's not his size, and he's a big play machine. He was constantly breaking off huge runs. From what I saw, he is my RB5, just because of these cons, and I think these are some pretty big cons that's going to limit him at the next level because everyone at the next level is also a pretty good athlete. To me, he didn't have great vision, and that could also be part of the bad O line that there wasn't many lanes to actually pick and go. He's not the agility really isn't there. He's a straight line one cut runner. And the lack of power between the tackles and fumbles are a big issue for him. It- he's a fun guy to try and project. If everything goes right, he's going to be great. He's someone that I'm going to be playing a lot with in Madden, just because size speed freak. Like I'm going to be trying to get him on every single team, but for the NFL, it doesn't work the same. Unfortunately, that's like a rebuild I just did had Taylor Green and Mike Washington, just because size speed. I can control the rest, but in the NFL, it's between the ears with the players. are you a good football player along with you being a freak? Yeah, and also he played 5 years in college. He's an older prospect, and it really took him to his 4th and 5th year to actually do anything. For someone with that size and speed and where he's currently being projected, I would have liked to have seen it earlier, him just be dominant, from the start. Um, but, you know, he put on tape what he put on tape.
Yeah. Last thing I would say about him before we move on is he, and this is going back, is he like a Christine Michael, where the combine show was such freakish, but everything else is just not quite there.
Yeah. And a lot of people might not even know who the fuck that is, and that just
Yeah.
shows you how well they did at the next level. So,
I'm
all
assuming you
right.
know who that is, right, Gus?
Yes, yes, I
The
do I
epic
do recall.
Christine Michael combine.
All right, the 4th back that is projected go is Jonah Coleman, 5'8", 220. He's a fucking bowling ball, and he's short and stout. He is my RB4. To me, he's a really good pass catcher. I like that for his profile. He was someone that was involved in the passing game. He had 87 catches in his 4 years. I mean, that's solid work. I mean, it's not Jeremiah Love, who catches per year. He was, I think, it was around, if you do the math, he's like around 20-ish per year, which is still solid. That's more than Price, but uh, and he's I think he's going to be a great pass catching back. I mean, that skill set was put on display a lot. He's someone that's I'd probably put him right behind Love as far as pass catching ability. He's going to be someone for fantasy if he gets a third down role or a just a passing game role with a team where the back in front of him is more of the bruiser on first and second down, and he's the backup, but he's getting all the pass catching work. Kind of like the inverse role of David Montgomery and Gibbs, kind of like when they first came in, when Gibbs first came to the league, where Gibbs was mainly the passing down back. Not to say he's the same athlete because he's not very fast, but he is quicker than fast, and he's shifty. Um, like I said, he's a bowling ball of a human, and with that, he's got great contact balance, which is something I think is very important for a back at the next level, and also for his size, he's got quick and light feet. Um, for someone that big, he's pretty nimble. And he sets up blocks well. I think he's got very good vision when he does carry the ball on the ground. And also he's good in pass pro. So he's going to have a passing down role at the next level. Just how much is he going to get on the ground as well to go with it? Um, some of the cons I had on him, change of direction. It really takes away a lot of his momentum, to be expected with someone that's 220 pounds and not a freak of nature. Um, he has one move, and it's to juke, but is very effective. He so that's one of the cons. Like, he doesn't have a full arsenal of moves that he can go to. He doesn't really have the top end speed, but he runs with a lot of power, but he doesn't break a whole lot of tackles. Right? He will fall forward every play, but he's not going to break a whole lot of tackles. So his main role at the next level is going to be as a pass catcher. Just what else is he going to get on the ground? Like his film a lot. He's going to be fun.
Yeah, so I like this film. I guess going quickly to it, Jonah Coleman, 5'8", 220. He didn't run at the combine
Probably
based
smart
on
move.
either pro day or something. We got somewhat of a number. It sounds like he's right around a 4.5 or a little like 4.55 probably, which means his speed score is pretty good. It was right around 99 to 100. But if you don't run at the combine, it's not lasered. It's not, to me, that's where you run, or everything else is kind of bullshit. So truly, his speed score is fine. The NFL prospect rating hit a 5.94, which is a decent bit less than Mike Washington and Price. 77 in the next gen, which means his production was better than both those guys. I like this film a good bit too. His yards per reception was 10.58, which is very good. And some people give a looser rating. It was pretty good as well. Over 100, I think, is a positive. Um, I liked actually his one juke move. I really enjoy when a guy is able to stick his foot in the ground and change directions where it looks like the rest of the field hasn't moved. And I saw that some, which is kind of special. Um, I don't see him as truly just a passing down back. I think he's kind of a rotational back to start, and if someone gets hurt, could be the starter. Uh, I think I, what I saw, I liked a lot. I am worried about his pass blocking, but that was the one negative I saw in a couple of games I watched, and I think that's why he won't just be a satellite back. Yet again, it's hard for a rookie. Now, at 5'8", 220, you should get better at it, right? I hope. You have the ass to hit somebody. You have the ass to hit a linebacker. Now, part of it, I know one of the games I watched was Ohio State. And if you look at the NFL draft right now, how many defenders on Ohio State are going in the top 7 picks, right? So I can't judge too much because we knew what Washington had compared to that front 7, especially. Um, but I I enjoyed it. I think he'll be fine. I think it's going to come down to where he gets drafted. Like I could see it. It's funny, he's purple. Does he go to Minnesota in the middle of the second as the second running back drafted? And then his value goes like this, is all of a sudden, if that happens and then Price goes at 64 to Seattle, are we talking about now 2 running backs in the top 10? And I think we probably are because people are starved for him. You know, the idea of Boston could be the starting receiver in New England next to Dobbs having, um, you know, Drake May throwing to him, or the starting running back maybe for Minnesota. And I think the hype machine after the draft is going to get some of these guys bumped up. And I'll say it here, I think some of those late first round picks are going to gain value if what typically happens in the draft happens, which is 1 or 2 of these running backs that we're talking about, we're not sure how great are, all of a sudden get bumped up into a good situation in the second round or even late second, early third, and now the hype is there.
So you're talking about that late first. I just made a trade in the league. Get your thoughts on it. I traded the 111 on a team where I basically had Terry McLaurin as a wide receiver, and that's pretty much it. For Dobbs and Michael Wilson, I traded the 111 for those 2 guys straight up
For 2 of them?
for 2 of them.
Holy shit. Okay, yeah, well done. I mean, for me, Michael Wilson's value is right around a late first by himself, and then Dobbs might be an early second. In leagues I have him, I'm keeping Dobbs because I'm not even a Green Bay fan, but I have too many shares to try and bail now. And so I mean, I would have assumed in certain leagues you can go on, what is it, Dynasty Daddy and see trades. I'm assuming Michael Wilson goes for like a 111 by himself.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. Just him by himself, but I was able to get both. I was trying to get a back with it, and like send like my third, but like it just didn't work. So I was like, all right, how about just the 2 wide receivers for the
Receiver.
111, and we got it done. I believe it was in a dad's league, like dad's like 5 or 6 or something like that, where I needed some pass catchers.
Yeah, and what's funny is right now I think it's a smash, and probably after the draft's done, if some of these running backs go to where we hope and think they will, even in the early third round, and then the receivers go late first in the top 12 picks of the second round, that 111 people will be hyped about because they get Boston or Surratt or Stowers. You know what I'm saying? And if you ask me, I might as well, I would rather just take the 2 receivers that are already active that are looking like they paid Dobbs at worst. He's wide receiver 2 on that team after the draft, right? A- And honestly, it might not hurt them if they trade for AJ Brown. Like truly, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. Um, and then all of a sudden you get Wilson, who I think the organization is saying has to be the 2, but you still get a 2 on a team that's got to pass a lot because they suck. Like the defense if they stay healthy, could be better. But truly, we don't. No one assumes they're going to win 10 games, and if they do, it's because they're scoring touchdowns. So I think getting both of those at the 111 kind of surprised me. But hey, I love it for you.
To wrap it up on Coleman, he's currently projected to go top 100. He's right at 96. So he's in that threshold where you would want to see a back go in the top 100 picks. So,
Right.
how about you take the lead on the next guy?
All right. The next one on the list, the fifth of the running backs, is Emmett Johnson. He's 5'10", 202. His speed score almost made it so he shouldn't run at the combine. It's a 93.44, which is honestly usually below the cutoff I look for. But, we've seen guys come out of nowhere and make it work. One of the other negatives is his yards per reception is below the cutoff, which is around 8. He's at 7.64. Um, the NFL score, he's a 6 and then a 73 in that next gen thing. So what does it mean to me? It means I wasn't as excited just watching some of his game tape. I think he's working really hard. The way he runs a little bit reminds me of like Isaiah Pacheco, like trying to pump and work his game all the way through and work, make every play and every extra inch. And he's so much arm pumping, and the way he wiggles is a little unique to get around. But I wasn't as excited. What does that mean? It means if he gets drafted in the third round, sweet. If he gets drafted in the fourth or fifth, I'm less excited. That's kind of the extent. He was at Nebraska. The size and the speed worry me because if that's the case, I really want more passing stardom, not just passes. And based on the numbers, it doesn't look like it. And then what I watched didn't make it seem like it was that much better. Does that make sense? Some people love him, and then some people have him in the top 2. He would probably be my 5th of this group. And that's where I guess right now he's projected to go out of this group. So, yeah, fine back. Yeah, the arms and the way he runs, I think, is unique. It was kind of hard not to see it on film, but everything else, the true metrics scare me. What about you, Gus?
So he's actually my RB3, and I think it's because he's a very well-rounded back. He's gonna have the ability to be a bell cow. Now, I'm not saying he's gonna be the greatest back. I'm not saying he's gonna be a top 12 back. But like some of the cons that I have from him that I totally get why he's some people's 4, 5, or 6. He doesn't have the top end speed. He gets hawked down a lot. His power is about average for someone that's not that fast. You would hope that he's going to be, very powerful. To me, he was a great pass catcher. When he caught the ball, I liked the routes. I liked his hands. I think it's a very natural pass catching, motion. He's shifty and he's slippery. He's 5'10", 202. He's not the biggest, so having that is great. I think he's got a full skill set to make people miss spins, jukes. He has a high motor. He takes no plays off. He's always fighting for yards. He's tough to bring down for his size. He's fast enough to work in the league. There's guys that have been around his speed that still work out all the time. You don't have to be a burner. I liked his contact balance for someone that was 202. So to me, he was my RB3. His last year at Nebraska, 1,400 yards on the ground. That's a lot of work. He had 251 attempts for 1,400 yards and 12 touchdowns, 46 catches. Over the past 2 years, 80 something catches, 85 catches these past 2 years. So once he really got the bulk of the work, he was a dynamic player for them. I think he can come into the league and be a low end, starter or a high end backup. It's going to be tough because there's a lot of good backs in the league right now. So it's really going to depend where he lands. But he's someone that I enjoyed his tape a lot just because of the way he plays. So
Yeah. I mean, the last thing I would say is it for him, because I didn't really like it, didn't see the speed, the size, it's going to be all about landing spot and round he's drafted in for me. Whether I'm excited or rather take other players at other positions in the same spot he might go. Because, where we're talking, he's probably early second round pick. And so for me, it's whether I like a tight end that went somewhere else in a better spot, Stowers, other guys, or a couple other later receivers that I like. So part of it is really where he gets drafted, what round, and to what team.
all right, I'll move on to the next back. That'd be Nick Singleton. He was my RB6, so right after Mike Washington. For him, I mean, he was pretty much a starter at Penn State all 4 years I was there, except for his final year. Katron Allen kind of took away a good chunk of the work from him. But he is 6'2", 219, so he's a pretty big back. He is an effective downhill runner, and to the edge. He's got quick bursts. He can get up to speed in a hurry for someone his size. He's got great straight line speed. He's not afraid of contact. He runs with good power, and he's always trying to fight for yards, and he will try to run through you. He was a touchdown machine while he was there, scored 45 touchdowns on the ground, 9 through the air. And he was pretty effective in the passing game. His career yards per catch, I've got it down from Sports Reference as 9.7 yards per catch. Pretty damn good. Cons, there is no wiggle in his game. He is a very stiff runner. He won't make you miss, but he'll break a lot of tackles. His vision is kind of questionable at times, and he doesn't set up blocks well. More than likely just run straight to contact and try to make you pay for it.
Yeah, and he broke his foot right in the process of everything going on. Yeah, at a 9.61 as his receptions, yard per reception. The broken foot, you can't get a speed score. 6'4", 219, 6.0 in the NFL score, 78 in the adjustments. But so much of that was 2 years ago, how good he was, and then
Mm-hmm.
how not good he was this year. I mean, 9.61, great yards per reception. That could be let's put it in the positives. Broken foot, not good. Positives, looks like he's truly a freak athlete. And, the question is, can he run in the next week and maybe show out that he's fast? But I wouldn't even do it at this point. The vision is not the best. I don't know how else you could say horrible. I don't know how else to describe it. It's just the athleticism on tape is freaky. The vision is awful. So can a coach that, or is that more natural? I've always felt it's more of a natural feel. And at this point, freak athletes have trouble with that. We've seen in the NFL before. But if he's in the right system and someone can coach him up and make it happen, good. Yet again, I said it with Emma Johnson and pretty much every one of these guys is the NFL draft's going to tell me how I feel about him for fantasy. What round you went in and to what team and what situation, right? If Singleton jumps into the third round somehow, I'm going to have more interest in. Just there's the facts. I mean, someone put a pretty premium pick for a running back and they took him. If he falls to the fifth because of the foot issue and other things, the opposite. He's going to fall down boards and, hopefully you won't have to take him. In most classes, he'll fall down boards. In this class, he might not, but let's say he turns into a third rounder. So I'm worried of like a full-time role because the vision just didn't look like it this past year. Now, part of that is always I'm always questioning, and Gus, I know you'd understand this, and everyone listen, is it didn't take long for the team to look like they were off the rails. So how much did
Mm-hmm.
he care the rest of the season? You know? instead of like, let me just try and hit a home run and go from there. Because I mean, what they're the only team to lose like UCLA. They were the first team to lose to UCLA, right? It was not good. So part of it is motivation. Once the team starts going downhill and then your coach gets fired, like where's the will to keep playing? So I could give him a pass, and I guess we'll get to Katron Allen a little bit. Same idea, but the vision doesn't look promising.
Yeah, and he's currently projected to go 146. So what is that? Like the fourth round? That's like the fourth round, maybe
No,
fifth round.
that's actually like fifth round.
Yeah, yeah, and you gotta like factor in all the compensatory picks and stuff like that. But he's gonna be. You know, where does he go and how high does he go? Those two are going to be big. I like the film outside of his vision, and he's not very agile. But other than that, he's big, fast, strong. He can break tackles. I mean, he's someone that can work.
Yeah.
All right, how about you take this next guy that shouldn't be even talked about?
Yeah. Damon Claiborne, I think he's up there just as a returner, really. But let's talk about him quickly. 5'10", 188, 103.1, even at that speed score, which is awesome. So it shows he's electrically fast. I wrote down his not career, but his senior year yards per reception was only 5, which is quite low. I think the years before a couple he had 11, so probably for his career was somewhere around 7.5. But the size at 5'10", 188, he is small, to put it lightly. NFL wise, they have him at 6.10 and a 67. The next gen stat stuff. I feel so much of this is truly a team in the late fifth or sixth round saying, could I get this guy and he be an electric returner and be the fourth running back on my team, break glass in case of emergencies? I That's what I see. I honestly don't see much else. I think he's up here because that's where, if Singleton won 146, what do you have him at? 160? You know what I'm
He's
saying? And
at
if that's the case, it's because he's a
150.
returner. 150, because I think he's a returner. I mean, being an LSU fan here, and some of the older dads remember Trendon Holiday that went to Denver, where the little baby guy from LSU that did awesome, had fun returns, but truly was just a return guy. I think he was listed as a wide receiver, but truly it was just, we can get an electric guy to make some plays. And I think, with the new kickoff rules, I get it, right? Maybe you're just going to get specialists that's your fourth running back and go from there.
Yeah. I had a lot more cons on him than I did pros. I mean, just to quickly touch on the pros, this guy can fly. He's very explosive. He's going to be someone that's going to be dangerous in the passing game if he doesn't drop the ball. He did struggle with some drops. He did fumble, which is to be expected for someone that's his size. Um, I mean, he can cut on a dime. He can put his foot in the ground and go. He's as shifty as it gets. He's an athlete, not not so much as an all around back. Cons, he avoids contact when he can. I mean, his feet slow down a lot in traffic. He doesn't really try to drive the pile. He just goes down. If you get your hands on him, he's gonna go down. There's almost no power in his game. His vision is all over the place. He likes to bounce around runs, stuff that he has no business doing. But it worked in college. It's probably not going to work as well at the next level. Um, he's most likely going to be like a gadget style player. He's going to get some work on offense, screens or like a pitch or something like that. But he's never going to have a full workload or be in a consistent, timeshare. Um, he's an all or nothing type runner, so he's going to try to hit the home run every chance he get, but the holes close fast in the NFL, and someone his size, I don't see it going to be really anything um, that you should be spending a high pick on. I mean, he'll probably go third, fourth round in our drafts. If he's going this late, it's going to be because he's going to be a kick returner and not a whole lot else. But he'll be fun to watch.
Yeah,
Um,
if you don't have kick returner points, I would almost have him off my board.
if you score a touchdown on a kick return in our leagues, it does count. But like, there's nothing for yards, so like he's got to score a touchdown. And are you starting someone that's just going to be on kick returns? Like, good luck with that. If you are that down bad, you're probably not someone that's going to be trying to win games.
If you're that bad, you're trying to get the 101. No.
All right.
You want
And
to get Patreon?
he is my RB11 out of this group, so he's dead last just because I don't think he's gonna have a, a role that's gonna be good for fantasy at the next level. Katron Allen, 5'11", 216. He is my where'd he go? He's my RB7 in this class, so right behind Singleton. And he's currently projected 152. So you got Singleton at 146, Claiborne 150, and then Katron at 152. So kind of like in this same range. Pros, I think he's got good contact balance. You know, he's a solid dude. He's sturdy. The past 2 years is really when he started to kick things off. I mean, he's been a great back all 4 years that he's been at Penn State. This past year and the year prior is when he really started to get a lot more work. He was already good the first 2 years, so he's really been someone that's been, you know, a solid guy and consistent since he uh, got into college. Um, some of the pros outside of the contact balance, he's difficult to bring down. He's got great burst and can change direction well. So the complete opposite of Singleton when it comes to not just going in a straight line. He's light on his feet. He can make some good cuts. He's always trying to fight for extra yards. He breaks a lot of tackles too. I liked his vision. He sets up blocks better than Singleton. He's most effective up the middle and like outside zone plays. Well, not outside, inside zone plays. Cons, he's not the fastest guy, but he's going to be fast enough at the next level. He wasn't really used as much in the passing game. I mean, he still had a lot of work, but it just was his. I think Singleton had more catches in his career, but he was still someone that was used. It's just not as often. But when you're splitting all the work between two guys, it's kind of going to be that way. And that. I don't think he's a better pass catcher than Singleton. He will be a solid change of pace back at the next level, but I don't think he's going to get any sort of bulk of the work.
Yeah, I think it kind of you pair those two guys together. 5'11", 216. Katron Allen is didn't run at the combine. Yet again, not the biggest fan of that. 6.89 yards per reception, which is not a positive. The 5.97 NFL grade, 69 next
Nice.
gen, which says he's kind of rotational back, is what you're looking at. Um, you said a lot of the same things I saw with him. Um, some people really like him. I feel he's so dependent on what system he goes into and whether he can be used correctly and get the opportunity. This is truly. I wasn't that impressed, so I want to see where he gets drafted. I'll just leave it at that since we have other guys to talk about.
Okay. How about you move on to the next guy then? Someone that that's a very interesting prospect.
Yeah, this guy's way more fun. This is Adam Randall, who is a converted wide receiver at Clemson to running back. And he showed up the combine at 6'3", 232, which was even like 15 pounds heavier than anyone thought he would be. He's a complete wild card. He just started playing running back, but he was a receiver. 613 in the NFL score, 74. So people like him a little bit. His speed score was a 112.15, which means freakish athleticism, straight line speed. I think he got third in that list, just looking at it quickly, a little below Jeremiah Love. He's just started playing the position. He's a, baby gazelle running out there, no idea. But Clemson used him. And the idea that Clemson didn't have another running back is shocking because Clemson's, a big university out of their recruiting, et cetera, and used him. He averaged 9.4 yards per reception on his career. That's a positive. But he was also receiver for part of that, which you want. I mean, part of it is we talk about Penn State imploding. Clemson imploded early, quickly. So what does that mean for the team and for him? He kind of went a guy from no one knew to now someone at least on the radar, athletic. Is he Cordero Patterson? That's my question to you, Gus.
I think that's a fine comp, and Cordero took some time to make the switch, at the next level, but he was still someone that was effective. He was never anyone that took a whole lot of snaps, but he was used, and when he was used, he was effective, mainly as a kick returner, which I think Adam Randall is also going to be a fine kick returner as well.
Yeah.
He's
You, you think he'll be a kick returner or you think he's actually will make the transition to running back?
I think he can still do both. I don't think he's going to be a starter anywhere, so he's going to have to get on the field somewhere. And someone with his profile and background, I think he would be a good fit for it. Someone that kind of reminds me of is Antonio Gibson back when he made the switch too. That was back when I first started playing Dynasty. I think it was like my second or third year playing, and he was projected to go like second round in our draft. And I was trying to trade up in the second for like 2 days, trying to go up and get him, and I couldn't get a deal done. And he fell to me in the third. I was like, sweet, taking him. And he ended up giving me 2 RB1 years. And if Adam Randall can do something like that, then it's a smash pick. I don't think it's ever going to happen unless he goes, late to the same team. If he goes to Washington, where there's not a whole lot of comp there, then he could probably find his way onto the field sooner rather than later. He's not projected to go very high. His current position where he's being mocked is 195. That's fell 6 spots in probably the last 2 weeks, because there's not a whole lot there outside of the 1 year. He was there all 4 years, and as a wide receiver, his first 2 years he didn't get on the field, that much. I mean, he had under 250 yards his first 2 years there, which is not crazy. And then he kind of started to make the switch. The third year he got some more work on the ground, and I guess that's when they finally said, "Hey, do you want to make the full time switch?" He's a huge back. He's a bruiser that can catch the ball. I mean, that's a rare combination in a player. His speed is pretty good. I mean, it's great for his size, just because he's so big. He's not Love or anything like that as far as speed or Washington, but he's going to be fast enough at the next level. He's hard to bring down. He breaks a good amount of tackles for someone that just made the switch, and I think he's going to be used on special teams a lot. Cons, he's not shifty or quick. He won't try to make you miss. He'll just try to break the tackle, which at his size, that's not a bad bet. He runs kind of upright, for someone that's not played the position long. He's not had a whole lot of training on to get low and run behind his pads. But for someone his size in college, he kind of didn't have to. He needs to work on his vision. He looks lost sometimes when he's trying to run, between the tackles. He also drops the ball more than you would like for someone that was a converted wide receiver. But maybe that speaks to why he got converted. So,
Yeah,
fun player.
Part of it's fun. I think he's a guy in fantasy circles, dynasty circles. His value is going to go up even if he gets drafted in the 6th round. and here's what I want to bring up quickly. Is he a guy that I think he either gets drafted by Cincinnati, Pittsburgh, or Baltimore to be the scout team running back when they have to play Derrick Henry on the
That's
two
fair.
teams, or to run like Henry if Baltimore, because Baltimore could use a backup and just kind of fill in from there. So I think I see him in the AFC North somewhere in the fifth, sixth round as a pure project. But hey, is he a big guy? Could he bang on the defense and scout team? And if he's the second or third guy and they like what they see, could he end up being usable? Sure. And I truly think as we get closer and after the draft, I think people will like him more. I just do.
Would you rather have him or, speaking of the Steelers, Caleb Johnson? Would you rather have him or Randall? Wasn't Caleb just a second or third round pick?
third, third rounder. Um, the coach has come out and said everyone has a clean start. If they take Randall, I think the clean start is over for Caleb Johnson, which is sad. If that's the case, they should probably just move on from him and let someone else take a shot. So
Yeah,
I would
they did just
probably
sign Dowdle as their
yeah,
power back. So good luck with that.
exactly. I mean, it's just the fact that they brought in Dowdle makes it not as exciting, you know.
Yeah. All right. Two guys left. I'll go with this next guy, Caleb Black, 5'9", 208. When I watched him, he reminded me a lot of like probably this last year's Kyle Monungai. Like that type of player, that type of runner, probably going to go the same range. He's currently projected to go 174. So in front of Randall, it's changed since I've made this list, but he runs angry. He's an angry runner, but he's light on his feet for his size. I think he's got great power. I like his vision a lot, and he's explosive through those lanes. He's shifty in tight spaces. Great contact balance. He's a fearless pass protector. Cons, he's slow. He doesn't have a second. Oh, his second gear does not exist. He gets up to speed quickly, but it's not very fast. And he doesn't contribute in the passing game. He's going to be just a guy. But, if he's going to have his fans like Kyle did, I think, that's a fair comp.
Yeah,
That's his ceiling.
yeah, he's got a championship ring. He looked pretty good in some of those roles. He caught 4 passes this year, and he caught 4 passes the year. Like, there's nowhere you can't hide it. So what does that mean? He's Galen Black, 5'9", 208. Couldn't even find a speed score on him, but what I found was not the fastest, similar to Katron Allen. Just looks like it's somewhere in the 90s, which is not great. 5.69 NFL score, didn't even have the next gen rating. Um, it These are those late dart throws late. If you love the landing spot, if not, just let him slide. You know, in the 4th round of this draft, he's probably a guy some of us are taking, but I don't see him moving up draft boards. And when you win a title and you're still projected to go in the 7th round, you're not really moving up.
That's fair. All right. You want to move on to our last back?
Yeah, I'll move on to him. This is Seth McGowan, uh, Kentucky by way of New Mexico State by way of jail. Um, is where
Not just jail, prison.
oh, federal prison. My bad. I actually didn't even look up why. Do you know what he did?
I saw it earlier. Keep going,
Anyway,
and
look it up and I'll keep looking. So he's
I'll
6
find it.
foot, 223, ran a 109.74 speed score. So he's fast and size wise. He averaged 11 yards per reception. What's funny is playing Kentucky in the SEC on one of the bottom 4 SEC teams. He did okay, and he seems athletic, which makes sense because the other teams wouldn't take him because he goes to jail. NFL 5'9" 7" and a 69, so he's not that far off. It's it's the NFL. How much are they gonna care? I guess part of it is comparing him to like a Kalen Black. How much are they gonna care when they look at that and say, "Guess what? Kalen Black is not that athletic, but he didn't go to jail. This guy could be a difference maker, but he went to jail." I mean, part of that is he's already fallen. If you heard 6 foot running that speed score, didn't go to jail, 11 yards per reception at Kentucky, and just started there and was 23 coming out instead of his older age because he was in prison. Um, I think he'd be higher up. And in this class, he and Randall are the guys later on that I would take shots on because I think athleticism wise, they could actually be something. Can they stay out of prison?
Speaking of taking shots, a
Shit.
arrested for robbery, conspiracy to commit robbery, assault, and battery with a dangerous weapon. He pled guilty to larceny with other charges that were dismissed. He spent 3 months in prison and a year probation. So there's kind of a big gap. And when he was playing, he played for Oklahoma in 2020 and then didn't play again until 2024. You know, I liked his film. I'm just going to say right now, like I think he's a pretty good back. He's a pretty good back. It's just all the other stuff that is going to push him down draft boards. But he's going to be someone that I'm going to be taking a dart throw on with my 4th-round pick. He's currently projected to go 169. I had him ahead of Black. The pros I had on him, I mean, he runs angry. He reminds me a lot of Isaiah Pacheco in the way that he runs. He's very explosive and powerful. He is fearless up the middle. He pretty much always falls forward. He is a capable pass catcher. I don't think he's going to get a huge role at the next level doing that, but he can definitely catch the ball. He loves his jump cuts. He does have spins and jukes as well, so he's like a all-around guy that can make you miss. He's got pretty good vision and patience to set up blocks. Cons, going to prison is never a positive. It's very hard to spin that, especially with the charges. He does have a problem with fumbles. You probably won't see a lot in the passing game. Like I said, not a lot of breakaway runs, but like what he could do with the ball in his hand, I was very impressed with for someone that was at the bottom of my list to watch. It was kind of like cherry on top to watch. I was like, okay, this is someone that I like. And he's old. He's going to be 24 to start the season. So that's a pretty old back.
Yeah. So what if, prediction, and I called it here, 6th round to the Raiders.
I
He's the
mean,
back.
that's a good fit,
Yeah. I think they don't give a shit about prison. They never have. They might encourage
Okay,
it.
so
Right.
so he should go to the Chiefs then, because they don't give a shit about your past.
Hey, man, if the glove don't fit, you must have quit. Listen to Rice, baby. He's fine. So let's talk to real people. Um, but no, it that's a solid. If he didn't go to prison, are we talking about this guy, this athleticism with the reception chops to be, up by Emmett Johnson? Realistically,
Yeah. Yeah,
I think
and to
so.
get him in the 4th round of our drafts, I think that's going to be someone that I'm going to target. And I know a lot of people that listen are probably going to snipe the fuck out of me now for it. So great.
Yeah, you
Which
ain't getting enough scores.
I was talking about Fannin last year, and nobody took him in front of me in like the 3rd and 4th round. I have so many shares, so it's like, all right, cool. So hopefully y'all follow that trend again. Just
Gotcha.
let me take the actual shot on him.
Pop, pop. Do you have any other running backs you looked at, heard? I don't have much information, but I have a few I just want to bring up as kind of guys that I think will probably get drafted or at least undrafted free agents that maybe we should at least hear because the class is poor, which means these 3rd and 4th rounders could be shots. One's Jam Miller from Bama, 5'10", 209. He ran a 109.52 speed score. So that's something. Le'Veon Moss, averaged 9.79 yards per reception. Terrion Stewart averaged 8.29. And then the other name I wanted to bring up because we talked about Kalen Black was Roman Hemby, who started in Maryland, was kind of a hype Debbie guy and other players, and won a ring, but was a split backfield in Indiana, right? So, um, anyway, those are 4 names I wanted to bring up that at least people should know and see, and if you see them, maybe in the right situation, could actually be a 4th round pick.
Yeah, I kind of had to cut off like around 200 because it's very hard for a sixth or seventh round guy to really pop onto the field. Um, I for as much shit talking there was about this class. Yes, it is not a great class, but there's a lot of good role players and I think are going to contribute at the next level as like an RB2 or a passing down back, guys that you'll see every week that are getting work, just not enough to be fantasy, gold unless the starter goes out in front of them, and then they have a chance to show what they can do. And there's some guys that can probably do something with that work. In dynasty, everyone is gonna need backs. Any depth that you can have on your team is something that's worth a dart throw at. Before we get out of here, I just want to go through my rankings, and if you want to go through yours, just to recap. I had Love at 1, Price at 2, Johnson at 3, Coleman at 4, Mike Washington at 5, Singleton at 6, Katron at 7, Adam Randall at 8, Seth McGowan at 9, Black at 10, and then Claiborne at 11.
So, I'll run through this and Love 1, Price 2. I'm probably going Jonah Coleman 3. I just think all around he's there. Mike Washington 4. And then I'll be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna have it's all based on draft, and he probably get it. So I guess Emmett Johnson's gonna be there. But if not, I'm probably gonna pass on a lot of those middle guys that we discussed, like Singleton, Claiborne, who is really just a receiving back, like a returner, excuse me. Katron Allen, maybe, but what I'm gonna like is actually the Adam Randall, Seth McGowan late dart throws. These are gonna be my guys like Taj Brooks last year that I hope will get an opportunity to at least be the 3rd stringer and make a team. And if he makes a team, you never know. And so Love, Price, Coleman, Washington, Emmett Johnson, just because the draft stock sounds like it's gonna be there. But if he falls to the 4th, I won't even care. Singleton because he's an athlete. And then give me these Katron Allen because the draft stock maybe, but give me Adam Randall and Seth McGowan because they're the true athlete dart throws that could hit.
That's fair. Anything else on these guys?
Um, the receiver show next week could be very long.
Probably. I'm going to
Yeah.
send you my list of the guys that I've watched and that I still have to watch. And let's just make sure that we have the same amount of guys because it's not it's not a deep stud class, but there's a lot of depth to this class, guys that are going to be in the league for a while, just probably never going to do a whole lot, but they'll be like a Christian Kirk, type player or, something like that, where they're going to maybe have a year, but it's probably not going to stick, or they're just going to be role players for their offense. There's really a big 3 at the top, and then like there's another group of 3 that are right behind them, and then it's kind of split up after that. What type of guy do you want to take? So
Yeah, I think there's a lot of number 3 wide receivers on a team, not necessarily number 3 pass catchers, but number 3 wide receivers that are going to be drafted throughout the late 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds because it is deep. That with one injury could be something kind of fun. Does it mean you got to hold them on your practice squad? Yes, but that's kind of where I'm at. The problem is you might be taking some of those dudes in the late 2nd round of your rookie draft. So,
all right. Um, I did the dad advice last week when my daughter walked up and asked for some water right there at the end of the episode. Timed it up perfectly. It's almost
yep,
like it was planned. So how about you go this week?
gotcha. So my dad advice after Easter weekend, I was outside, and as a dad, there will be a point with your son or daughter that you'll do something that might piss off your wife, but I'm gonna recommend you do it anyway. Because
Hell
in the
yeah.
end, as much as she might not hate it, she'll understand you did it with your kid, for the family. So my example is my parents have a
I gave him a
pool.
beer.
Yeah, right, right. My parents have a pool, and so, of course, with the, grandkids and stuff, we had little water shooters, and so Liam and I were in the pool, and the hot tub was a little bit away on the other side, and so my son and I would take the water shooters and aim directly at mom 20 feet away and constantly shoot her in the head, where I don't think she was trying to get her hair wet, but guess what? It was soaked by the end. Um, and in the end, as much as she may have been a little aggravated, I think she thought it was real cute that father and son were bonding, father and kid were bonding. And as much as if you did it by yourself, you'd be a dead man. If you had the chance to do it with your kid, take advantage.
That's a fair point. It's a fair point. Honestly, that's on her for not moving. I put the blame solely on her. She should have got up and moved if she didn't want to get wet.
Well, she was in the hot tub. Where's she going to go? The other side of the hot tub? Either she would have to get out of the hot tub, which defeats her purpose. So it was like, not my problem.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, ooh, my son's got a lot of like dart guns and stuff like that. He's got like a Spider-Man web shooter type deal that shoots darts, and we have to constantly tell him, "Don't point it at people. Stop pointing at people. Stop shooting people with it." It's because you don't want to teach them to do that. But water gun, that's a little bit different. But something that actually shoots a projectile, it's a little bit different. But yeah,
Yeah.
we
Agreed.
constantly have to say something, or
Perfect.
we'll have to take it from him, and he gets all upset. I was like, dude, it's the same story every single day. If you shoot somebody with it, you are gonna lose it. And like when he goes to sleep, wakes up, his mind is just wiped. All right, I'm gonna do
Yeah.
the same shit today. Maybe it's gonna change. Nope. All right, an hour and a half. I think that's more than enough time to talk about these guys. Next week might be a bit longer, but I think it'll be fun. And then we'll do tight ends, and that'll be a very short one. So we'll probably do a mock draft since we've already went through all of the guys at the end of it. That'll put us right at Tuesday before the draft. So right for that, we will have the drafts. The following week, we'll talk about the draft. Where guys went. Kind of outlook, and then probably week after that. Actually, maybe in that same episode do kind of a mock and talk about the players as we draft them. Now that's going to be in the heat in the middle of our drafts ourselves, because so
Yep.
that might be a little spicy because you're going to get sniped on some players. I know that I will for sure.
Yeah.
But the way that we do our drafts is as soon as the NFL draft is over, if everyone is paid, we start the draft, and it's a slow draft until the draft is over with. So if you want to take some time and try to make some trades, because Love went to the Titans and everyone now wants them, right? Well, now you can sell them for a haul, because right now you can still, there's always this kind of point where like picks are at their peak value, and then the draft happens, and then everything kind of settles. Like either like the players settle, or maybe the value of some picks goes down, maybe some kind of go up. But for the most part, I think they go down, because that pick is still hype. That's that pick is still what could be. And once guys kind of fall into line, and then even after the draft, if like players lose value rather quickly after the draft, just because the hype is not there, or they're not doing a whole lot in camp. So the best time to go buy the guys that you want that you didn't get in the draft is if they didn't do anything in the offseason and it's been kind of quiet. You can go get those guys for cheaper, especially because in a few weeks you're going to have to start to set a lineup, and if they're not projected to be playing a whole lot, people might want to move off of them. Like one of the guys was for me was for Fannin, and I traded for Scadaboo a lot because people thought that it was going to be Tracy, which it was for some part, but Cam Scadaboo was obviously the better player. But that's
Don't
probably
just
the
bring up your
time.
positives, bring up your negatives too, man. What about that wide receiver
Oh,
that hit like 200 yards total for, I don't know, the Green Bay Packers?
I mean, I did go buy Golden too, and I'm still buying Golden because I think he's gonna be great. All right. Yes, like I mean, when I go to make an offer, some people are like, hey, what do you want for Golden? Like people are saying a first. Like so, like he's still got value. I know that he didn't do a whole lot this past year, but he was a wide receiver 4 on his team. It was hard to really get on the field, but he showed flashes, and then that touchdown that he scored in the playoffs, that's as good of a highlight play as you're gonna get. You know, he had one, but it was damn good. Um, but people still see him as a first round pick. Like when I was trying to make that trade with Dart and everything, I asked the guy, "Oh, how much do you want for Golden? To tack onto this trade?" And he said a first. I was like, excuse me. Like I thought I was high on Golden, but there's quite a few people that have said a first, and I totally get it, and I'm in the same boat with them. It's hard to stomach trying to trade away a first round pick for someone that didn't do a whole lot their first year. But I think he's someone that's gonna, you know, make a jump. Now I'm gonna get a bunch of 112 offers for Golden, which I'll probably take. So
We'll see. Well, fun show, and we'll talk next week, my friend.
all right, man. See you.